It'll be along with my list.
I feel some love from everyone. It's a beautiful sunrise. I'm thankful for all the people with their beautiful smiles and hearts.
Morning, everybody. We're down at the Thunder Bay waterfront today. We're gonna tour this totally restored old caboose. I used to run these at the back of the train, and we're gonna go take a little tour. All right.
And we were going to put it in front. We paid $3 to the city to rent the property.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It benefits,
Yeah,
benefits the city, I think, in respect.
it does. And
It adds beauty to the waterfront, like some historic.
well, we were trying with Charlie Brown there. We were making, involved with the transportation museum. We approached they went for it. Too artsy. I thought so. I got one loop running because the winters are too hard on outdoor railroading.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Bobby and I have been doing this, and he's down here. Well, he would have been down here today. He says he'll show up later. I said, we'll just see how it goes, and next year when things improve around here,
Well, but
you know.
being the pandemic and whatnot, and how things are all, we can normalize at some point.
Dinner table. But the desk is original. I had that. My dad brought it when they were scrapping the cabooses. The brackets are original. The only thing that we had to get a top for it. the table we made, this is how they used to make them. So we made this up. Original cabooses were all varnished.
Wow.
They had BC fur in them. In fact, this is BC fur underneath here, and it's all varnished. When the train club took over years back in the 80s, when they started restoring them, they had 2 cabooses at Kiefer Terminal. And I remember when I used to go training with the fire department, while they're training, I'd wander through the 2 cabooses. I used to work as a student at Needing. My dad put me to work. No fooling around. Go to work.
So they have 2 guys in here all the time, or?
Conductor and a brakeman.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'd have 2 brakemen, but most of the time just just a 2. The conductor was head of the train, there was always a rivalry between the engineer and the conductor. So they were always locking horns. The engineer thought, because he ran the train, he was the boss, but the conductor was just like a captain of a ship. He had all the orders, he did that, So there's a little brass whistle there. In the old days, when he started up, this thing would start whistling, and it would warn the crew to secure yourself. So the brakeman and the conductor get up in the cupola, and then they'd take off. And if he was braking for something, to be, say, a yellow light or something, this would come on. Every time he applied the brakes, this would whistle. So it always warned the tail end that something was going to happen. Prepare yourself. And I know Mr. Riddock, he wasn't too popular when I was working as a student at Needing, and they were making up the trains to go, like either the ore train or whatever. And as soon as the engineer going into the booking room to look see who the tail end crew was, and they give them a little shot when they take off, so everybody goes. Yeah. It was just hijinks. Now you couldn't get away with that.
Or were they both on duty at the same time, or just one at a time, or?
But the engineer and
The 2 in the caboose?
oh, they were on. The whole crew was on from the head end to the tail end. They were on duty 24 hours.
Yeah.
This was basically a home away from home. A lot of the blinds, I'm making up blinds. You can't find them, but I made them up at the museum when I helped build their sets for them. So I'm going to put some blinds up there. Some had curtains.
Yeah.
And on the top, there's a bracket of the cupola in the center. It's like a bracket you put the marker light on, tail end marker light. Each van, which they call them vans, used to have something significant, like a moon, a star, and that crew knew when out on the caboose on the track, that was their caboose. That was their home. No one touched it, other than changing bearings and whatnot.
Okay.
But yeah, it was all personalized.
What was the purpose of the seats up here?
Well, they have to watch. Well, like here, this is the back end. You're watching the train. The conductor's sitting here and the brakeman is sitting. They're both sitting here, and they're watching the train as it's going. They're looking for smoke or sparks because the bearings were ball bearing, and they were like a brass sleeve bearing, and if the journals didn't have enough oil or packing in them, they'd start to smoke and burn, and the axle would go, and you'd have a derailment. So this is their job. They watch anything that was out of place on the train as it's going.
Okay, and is that a brake lever
And this
up there?
is this is his emergency air.
Okay.
Yeah, he lets that go. And when there's a whistle on the outside on the vestibule, when they started up putting air through all the cars, this thing would start whistling, and once I guess it had a special high pitch, and they're watching the gauge, he'd shut that off. The whole train has air supplied so they can go. Yeah. They used to carry extra brake pads and even the shoe mountings, because sometimes they could repair something small, like it's mostly was hot rocks that they called them, and you start to smoke and smoke and smoke. That's when they'd warn the engineer to stop.
So that was the main reason of the caboose?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, and then they changed them to you see them now, the little...
Yeah, they got the little box on the back.
Everything went computer. I think the caboose was about in the late 80s when they got rid of them.
It'll be along with my
The cupola seats swing forwards and backwards. How comfortable are they? I've never sat in it. Not since I was 12. Yeah. They probably take a caboose cushion and throw it on it.
Yeah.
In a case of emergency, either the brakeman would grab it, or if the conductor couldn't reach it.
Alright, so this is looking forward, so you'd be looking down the whole train.
Looking down the whole train.
And he's
And
looking
going
at
around
it.
the curve, you can see everything really clearly. Of course, trains weren't as long as they are now, but still.
That's looking rearward.
And I guess that's a choice.
Someone said it was a smoke alarm.
Oh.
No. Caught fire, I guess it would start popping. It looks like it's a used one, obviously there's no coil in it, I don't know.
Yeah. Let's think of it.
It's neat, those too. Finding things from that era is so hard now. I found this lantern here, polar lantern. I got it from Black Cat there, small glass. I couldn't believe
And
it.
these are ice boxes.
Ice on the bottom or the top there, and it kept stuff cool.
And this is the original stove.
No,
No?
it's similar. It
Similar?
is a stove that the same company.
This is the similar setup though.
Similar setup. The only
Okay.
thing with a road caboose, it had an oven in the back. This section was cast and it heated, and there's a box. It would extend out this way, and that door on the side, and they used to heat up stuff in there. And it also, we haven't got it on it yet. They had a cage to keep the coffee pots in there.
Okay, yeah.
Just like on a
Funny,
boat.
right?
eh?
Yeah.
And was it wood before coal, or was it always coal?
Well, I always remember coal.
Coal, yeah.
Yeah, well, they first come out locomotives, they did burn wood. So maybe back in the early 1800s they were burning wood.
Yeah.
But I know this, then they went over to coal. But,
It's beautiful.
yeah. These were, after they decommissioned them, they were used in the yard for switchmen to stay warm. And short runs, where they didn't have to stay long. But like I say, they had their own special crews, and that was their caboose, and it's their home to come in and fill up their water for them, check what supplies. They had a list to go through. If they needed oil or packing and stuff, everything was stored in these cabinets below. But and toilet facility, well, there was a 5-gallon pail in one of these cupboards. And the carman didn't like anything on the knuckles if these came in for repair, especially.
Yeah.
That's coal, an extra coal bin, yeah. That's the same thing. That's original coals they used, so like I say, from the coal docks in the East End. And that's where the East End got their nickname, the coal docks.
Yeah.
The CP had their coaling facility there. And the CN and Canadian Northern had their coaling facility, a large one where Northern Wood was.
Yeah.
Quite into that. So that's the end. And I said to him, I says, flares. He says, oh no, half is yellow, half is red. You got it all wrong. He says, red flares, yellow flares. Caution.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's torpedoes, but they used to put those on the track to warn, they'd go off on a train and they'd go from war. So guys used to, big joke, eh?
Yeah.
Don't care if the guy ends up in the weeds. The stretcher is old and original. He did the canvas. He couldn't find the green canvas or the yellow canvas. But he put that on for us. Yeah, so which was nice. All that stuff that people did. If he's begging, feels like you're begging. No. One thing we noticed, first aid kit, you know, something. You're right. I figured typical CN.
All right, so that's the old restored caboose in Thunder Bay at the waterfront. Thanks to Ron for the tour and the information. I hope you all enjoyed it.